Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Diary of a Professional. This is Ashley,
Lou.
and we have the lovely Ayanna Wilcox here, an eighth grade educator. And before we get into all about her, let's get into our moments of gratitude. And Marlu, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I feel like, I'm in my, is it, I'm still in my first week of being 36. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And the aches and pains people told me was going to hit hasn't hit yet, you know? So I'm just grateful. My son was like, "Did you stretch today?" And I was like, "Don't come for me. Don't come for me." you
No,
know?
he didn't.
Yeah, they like to be like, "Oh, you were born in the 1900s."
You know,
Yeah.
not too loud, not too loud.
But 88, the 80s, growing up in the 90s was a great time. I'm great. You know what? I'm grateful I grew up in the 90s. How about that? So I'll take my 1900s. I'll take my no aches and pains as of this moment. And I'm going to just be grateful for it all.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hear that. I guess for me, I am grateful for just trying to get everything that I need to get done. I'm grateful
Mm-hmm.
for really just having a lot on my plate and just taking my time and getting things done. Not overwhelming myself and knowing
Mm-hmm.
that if I can't do all of this right now, I just can't. I am not stretching myself thin. So I am grateful to know when I'm like, this, I ain't trying to do all of this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do X, Y, and Z right
Mm-hmm.
now. So I'm kind of grateful for knowing what I'm capable or not capable of doing. It'll all get done just on how I need it to be done. So yes.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I guess for me, this week particularly, I'm grateful for like sunlight. It's just, it's been cold. And I got locked out of my house yesterday, me and my dog, and no phone, no keys. And it wasn't as cold because the sun was shining, right?
Mm.
The more sun that we're getting, we're getting closer to like the spring and like school is over and like vacation. Girl, don't get started. But, just very grateful for like sunlight. I think like, I've had like a short winter and we can talk about that later, but like the cold
Mm-hmm.
has been getting to me. But the sun just reminds me like, hey, it may not be as bad as it is. So I'm just very grateful right now for sunlight.
Mm.
I did notice it today, and it did make me feel a whole. I opened my blinds, my curtains. I said,
Mm-hmm.
"We're gonna let the sunshine in today."
Mm-hmm.
Bring it in.
Yes, that resonated with me. Mm-hmm.
Soak it in.
Yeah, definitely.
Amen. Yes,
Yeah.
I love
So,
that.
we're definitely gonna speak with Ayanna today about just being a woman of color as a teacher. She's a eighth grade English language arts teacher, academic advisor, and we just want to get
Mm-hmm.
straight to it.
All
What
right.
made you decide to become a teacher?
Oh man, so I've always wanted to be a teacher. I used to like, how you play pretend, and I was like, I'm gonna be a choir director, nurse, teacher, and a lawyer. Like I'll be in my kitchen, like literally by myself, like making up all these things. But I also had like this third grade teacher. Her name is Miss Welch. She's still teaching now, and she was like in my book, like a nut. She was crazy, but I loved her, and I remember so much of like my third grade life than any other life of me going to school, and I'm like, yeah, I want to do what she does. And I've always wanted to be a teacher, but also I want to do other things. And teachers, apparently some of them want to be bossy. Like, and I was known to be a very bossy person, telling people what to do or whatever. But with that, I always felt as though I had things that I wanted to share and I wanted to teach people or kids. I don't really care for adults too much. That's why I teach children. We don't listen. So, yeah,
Take it to choir.
Yeah, we don't listen. We're I know that I don't listen. I don't take directions well. So I knew like after I knew when I was like in school, my sophomore year, I wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't want a master in education at Howard. One, because I was on scholarship, and most from what I've seen, like education majors graduated in 5 years. My scholarship said 4. I said, let's make this happen. Let's do Teach for America. Yada yada. Graduated, did a year of my master's in public administration, and then like applied for Teach for America and joined that in 2016. And I've been a teacher ever since, and it's been a ride. It's been 8 years. I'm tired. I do not see myself in the classroom forever. A lot of people don't believe
Mm,
me, but I can't do this forever. It's tiring. It's a lot. But yeah, that's how I got here.
all right.
We're gonna get into that later.
We will.
Yeah, yeah,
We will. But
yeah,
we want to know, I mean, clearly third grade till now has been quite a
yeah.
span and things have happened. What differences or key differences do you see, from how maybe our time in school to what it is now for you as a teacher?
Girl, there are so many things. So I teach in a charter school. I've always
Mm.
taught in a charter school, and they don't have textbooks, right? Like everything's like packets, yada yada. And I
Oh,
remember I remember on the news how like, oh, kids are having book bag strain because their book bags are too heavy. These kids don't have no books. They don't have books. Like I'm like, and that's something that I notice heavily. Like and mastering and navigating a textbook is a skill. So when,
Yes.
we do novel study with my kids, I'm like, go to page 500, turning page one by one. No, you can find 300 and like flip or like skimming and scanning for information is a skill that, we did like something really small. I also noticed that like, I don't know, we had computer classes. I teach English, but I'm teaching how to find the bullet points in the PowerPoint and how to indent and how to tab. Like we're doing a whole like navigating, and this is supposed to be the generation that's so technologically savvy, right? They know
right.
everything, but they don't. They don't know anything about computers. They know everything about the phone. So it's just felt so interesting, like how I'm still doing. I'll teach kids how to do control paste and like shortcut keys of just how to navigate their Chromebooks, things that they're like born using. What else? Like, kids don't get as much homework, at least not my kids. I get that homework. I'm the bad guy. I just noticed that like there was a lot more things that my parents were responsible for doing and I was responsible for doing. Like right now, I'm noticing that with the social emotional teaching and being so much aware and being equitable, where I see a lot of schools, at least charter schools, are like trying to take on the responsibility of like, oh, we don't want to give parents too much, or we don't want to, they may not be able. However, there are so many parents who are willing to have school supplies and what do they need for class and X, Y, and Z, and they want to participate. They want to chaperone on field trips. So I'm just noticing a lot of like we're pulling back on responsibility because of this name of being equitable and trying to be fair and like address all those other things, but the responsibility that's being taken from parents or not even giving them a chance to not be responsible because there are parents who more than likely want to do for their kid. And,
Right.
so people are so much to say like, oh, these parents don't do. But, when the school does everything, they don't have to do because we're providing the pencils, we're providing the binder, we're providing this, we're providing that. Nothing's being asked of them. And if it was asked, I'm pretty sure more than 75% will do and show up. So that's something that I'm noticing in school, at least in my charter school era.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, just even going back to the kids not being so savvy, I just want to mention that too as well. Like, for example, when I'm seeing a kid and I'm there typing away whatever they're telling me, their chief complaints and everything, I'm typing away, and they're looking at me like, how do you type so fast? Like,
Or how
how
do
do
you do
you
that without
type so
looking?
fast? Yeah, and
I
they're
was
like, how you doing without looking? You're
I
just
was
looking
texting
at me and
today. Miss Wilcox, you're not even looking at your phone. I said, babe, I've been doing this a long time. Like a long time.
We
Like,
used to put that on our resumes.
listen, with T9, I could be like this in geometry. Thumb just going. And like I said, babe, I've been doing this for a long time. Like,
Hmm.
don't even go there with me. But yeah.
I was proud to put 80 words per minute on my
But
resume.
Boom.
I was proud back in the day.
And
So
now they're
I
typing
had
like
to
that.
let them know, like, listen, like my
QWERTY.
world, we had to go to like computer class to learn the
Yes.
computer and
Yes.
learn how to type.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, and I'm shocked that you don't have those kind of classes
Right.
because when the computer came around, that's all we focused on.
Yeah. We need
Honey,
to.
they don't even learn analog clocks anymore.
Mm-mm.
They don't learn cursive anymore.
They do not. And the kids will ask me, Miss Wilcox, you gonna teach us cursive? I said, I got too much to catch up on.
Yeah.
Cursive is not on my agenda. I was writing cursive in second grade. So like,
Right.
I'm
They
sorry.
have books for that. You trace it same way.
And like granted, I have things that you need to write your signature. How do you do that in cursive? How do you just write your names in a slant? Just come on. Let's just slant and write it. But I'm like, oh God, please. But I have some kids who like randomly know how to do it. Like I have some kids who have like transferred from other spaces or like they learned it on their own, which is amazing, but not
Yeah.
most. No. And also something that I've noticed that
Yeah.
kids don't know how to hold a pencil. Um, and I have a lot of theories when it comes to like things that happen in education. Like, but anyway, the tablet kids, a lot of schools at one point in time were rolling out, oh, we have tablets in our pre-K and tablets in our preschool. And that's when you start learning and you get the muscles to hold the pencil. So most of those kids were from the tablet
Mm.
and pre-Ks don't develop the muscle to hold the pencil. Therefore, they're holding the pencil like this and they don't know how to write. So now they're like not holding a pencil well, or they don't have the stamina to write for a long time.
Mm.
The side effects of technology.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that learning curve happens like, years later when you have those kids be like, oh, this wasn't necessarily the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So like, they always say with the more things develop and get advanced, the more complications, right? Like if you only have one pencil, one paper, there's only two things that can happen. The lead breaks. But if you have a computer and this and this and this and that,
Yeah.
so more things can go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has state and local curriculum standards affected your lesson planning process?
So full transparency, probably I used to be very like good with lesson plans when I did them. But it take me a very long time because I'm really like the process for me, I'm really taking a long time of like, how am I saying this in class? How am I doing this in class? And by then it's like the day before. But I came in to a world of Common Core standards when I first started teaching. I was 22. I never knew anything about Common Core and like the standards. And then with charter school, everything was standard. And at one point, like, that's all my feedback was given on. Oh, you're in this standard, and they need to make sure they master this standard. And obviously, they use that for data points. Now I actually know some standards. Like I know point 1 is about evidence, point 2 is about main idea, central idea, point 3 is about this. Because I've been in this world for so long, and I wouldn't say it has negatively or positively impacted me, but I just know that right now, like I have a lot of autonomy on my lessons. So my lessons are aligned to the standards, but I just do it. I do what I want to do. So like right now, right? So everyone else in the network is working on Claudette Colvin, and they're probably reading the book already. But I'm a very big person on like building historical context before you can understand what's going. So a lot of our kids, like they don't really know much about the civil rights movement as in depth that we've done. So my kids are doing a research project. So is it aligned to the standards? Yes, kind of. It has to do with evidence. But I'm also teaching them like you have to have speaker notes. You have to have a bibliography. How to use a bibliography generator. How to actually, your slide should not have more than 30 words and it should be bulleted information. You should have only relevant images 1 to 2. Like, so yes, it's aligned to the standards, but also trying to like have some high school efficient things that they are going to need to do. We'll get to the standard stuff eventually. I mean, we do in tandem, but I think it's just so much embedded in my practice. I'm not necessarily thinking it forefront all the time until it's like we're reading our novels and stuff like that. And then we're using that data point because I got good data. So I'm doing something right.
I love it.
Yes.
Speaking of the different times that we're in, because I swear these kids and being able to focus and paying attention, it's a lot. How do you keep your students engaged?
I'm crazy. So I'm a naturally a loud person,
Mm-hmm.
and we spend a lot of time, like we have warm-ups or do nows that I try to make relevant to them. A lot last year, I taught seventh grade for 4 years before I taught eighth, and I would say like I had like the best like books, even the books that people hated. Like I taught Animal Farm for 4 years, my favorite book to teach, and like
It's a good one.
love it, love it. Like, but just using that information and just like me being excited about what I'm teaching makes kids even like, why does she like this so much? Makes kids even more excited. So me just naturally liking what I'm teaching or just naturally being invested, I think creates engagement. And also to just tying it back to life. So like
Mm-hmm.
with Animal Farm, we talked about capitalism, communism, fascism. We talked about different leaders and like, us growing up, we had to read a book about the Holocaust every year for summer reading, right?
Absolutely.
They don't really know much about that, but just connecting them to this, and that, and also connecting it to history, connected to science, like just making it like it's not just a excuse me, it's not just a ELA thing. It doesn't just happen here. This is connected to all these other things. There's been a lot of times that I taught about epidemic, yellow fever. And the first year I taught it, COVID happened. So it was so
Mm-hmm.
like I just happened to right. So like talking about, why are minorities the first ones to be called to serve the public? Yada yada. Like so many things that are so much connected to the life that
Mm-hmm.
they live. So that's been really helpful. But I think just me being so like, this is important. Everything's important to me. Everything I do is important. Everything we do is important. I think that's what's really driving engagement. And plus, like I'm a little loony too. So you know, I'm not saying everybody's like 100% there 100% of the time.
For sure.
That's life, but I think my class is pretty okay.
Yeah, yeah. um, and then let's talk about the parents. How do you establish good communication with parents? How do you
Okay.
establish that?
So I used to like hate talking to parents. It just gives me a lot of anxiety, but it was something that I have to, and I'm still um overcoming. I just
Mm-hmm.
notice, and people will tell me, all good teachers will tell you, like, start communicating with parents in the beginning. You establish a relationship first so that this parent will feel comfortable you telling them the negative things about their kid. Like, I have a child that right now, his mother calls her son my son. So, like, just making sure that I'm not only just talking about the bad things or what he's not doing, or just also communicating the good things. Um, Also, because I looped with my kids, I know some of those parents, and I've been in the game for a little bit. So like I had their siblings, I had their cousins. So like the parents are like, my name is kind of like a household name now, which is like a
Mm.
privilege to say, right? Like that doesn't happen for everyone. But it's very nerve-wracking. Like I said earlier, like I don't like talking to adults. And I think sometimes parents are even more difficult than their kid. But at the same time, parents want like we assume the best. Like parents want what's best for their babies and like their kids, and just going with that mindset. Like, hey, this is what's going on, and parents want to know. Like, there's been times where I led with like I haven't spoken to a parent for so long, and then the first thing I'm communicating is something wild, or not wild, but like, so I wish I would have known sooner, X, Y, and Z. And like for me, I'm like that's that gut thing because I didn't say anything before. But we also have a lot of communications that we do with like we have a thesis list. We're on Instagram, so we have like our class page has an Instagram, and the parents are always on there, and they love to see
Oh.
their kid doing classwork, their kid doing this. So like when they see their kids doing all these things in the classrooms and all the different classes, it's a little bit easier to be like, hey, this is not going on. Like I make posters when people get mastery or above on the ELA or they're iReady, and it was a weekly thing. And parents will be like, "Hey," to their kid, "I saw your name wasn't up there," because like these are other ways. Technology has some benefits, and like parents are staying engaged because they want to know what their kid is doing. Even though it's middle school, and parents, some people think that you should like lessen the reins or loosen the reins. That's not necessarily true. This is like developmentally, they're more irresponsible, more lackadaisical, more disorganized, and like this is where we need to be on them the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, listen, my kids are about to be in middle school next
God
year.
bless you.
So I do appreciate when there is communication. I can't speak for other parents, and thankfully, I don't work during the day. So, yes, I am that parent. I literally asked my daughter last night, why I don't have no field trips? Like, we want to be engaged. The ones who want to be, and then you kind of know how to proceed with the ones I'm sure who don't want to. But we definitely love that interaction. And I think it also helps hold the students accountable, because if they know me and Miss Wilcox kick it like
Absolutely.
that, they gonna know
Absolutely.
we're gonna get to her quick.
Absolutely.
Keep it an
Yeah.
extra eye. Be
Yep.
afraid. Be
I have
afraid.
I have
Have
one that
fear.
said, "Do I need to make a phone call? Do I need to call so and so because I went to high school with his aunt?" Or
Right.
or I say, your father texts me every other week. Like literally, I had one student. I'm at the gym. I'm talking to the mom about like carnival. She's going to Trinidad. I'm not going because I don't have off. So like, and he knows that his mother and I talk like that. So
Right.
don't come up in here acting like I won't call inter-parent name in here because
Yes.
we don't like they love to like. I think that's another thing too. Like kids know when their parents aren't on the same team, when their
Right.
teachers aren't on the same team. Like there's
Mhm.
such a difference where I have students who parents don't really bang with us or like whatever, and you can see how their demeanor is. Like I know my mother don't make with you. I don't care. Rather
Mhm.
than the parents who are on the same page with the teachers. Like granted, everybody's not an angel, but you can see the difference in the demeanor and the behavior between those kids.
Right. And like your kid, don't pretend like if they're cutting up at home, they're not going to do it at school. So
Yeah.
that's another conversation.
No, but that's a beautiful thing to like. We just had parent teacher conferences last week, and I was
Yeah.
saying something about one kid that I haven't met his mom, and I had him last year, and she said everything that I'm saying he does at home. I said, well, I'm glad I'm not a liar because I'm like and so many people like have, and I've had a lot of negative experience with parents, but a lot of the things we see these kids for a long time, and I work at charter, so I'm there from August 17th to June 18th. We're there for a
Mhm.
long time to 4 o'clock. So I'm with these kids a lot more than they are with at their house.
Yeah.
So I'm just so grateful that people ain't calling me a liar for majority of the
Yeah.
situation.
So those are some of the challenges you face,
Mhm.
with some of the, parent student relationships. Have you faced any challenges as a person of color?
Person of color. Hmm. I do feel sometimes that I don't have a space to not to talk because luckily and this is a privilege and my opinion is very much valued at my school.
Oh.
However, there have been times that I sat back that a lot of the leadership doesn't look like me or aren't like, they're white women or like what's up with the people that look like me? Why are they not in these positions? Like I'm not in them. I don't want them. One. There's been times that in my old school, I remember my school leader, I will not call the person a principal because he was not qualified as a principal. And,
Mm.
I went to an all-girl high school, went to Howard, yada, yada. And he was like, oh, so that's why you act like that. And he said, act like what? You talk like you're not supposed to get any repercussions for the things you say. I said, why should I have fear for the things that I say? I don't say anything belligerent, obnoxious, outlandish, anything like that. Why should I be fearful of the things that I say?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times, I'm supposed to like, or that's what I think people are thinking. I should be more like, hmm. And I didn't even grow up like that. Like, and granted, I grew up in a very unique household with a Haitian mom and my American dad. Like my American father was very much on me more than my mom. And like I was able to question. I was able to like, we know that's not necessarily a thing.
Ooh.
Or yeah. Like, why is this? But like my curiosity was never necessarily stifled. There are times obviously my father would like get mad, but like it was like I never had a place where I needed to like fear power and punishment or what have you. So I've experienced that. Currently right now, sometimes I feel that we are the savior, not the saviors, but like, we the mamas.
Mhm.
And we are the mamas and we are everything. And I think, innately we just go and solve. Um, Full transparency. My school experienced a death, and it was the death of my nephew. And at the time, and it'll be a 1 year on the 10th, he was playing football and he went to cardiac arrest. And at the time, I was just picking up, doing things, doing this, solving all these issues. And I do know my principal did say to me, like, don't feel like you have to fix everything right now.
Mm-mm.
I was doing things for my cousin, doing things at home, not really focusing on like me. And because he said like, us, he said not us, but Black women tend to like not take on, but it's kind of like given to us of just like solving and dealing and protecting, figuring out. Um, and innately, sometimes that's what I do. But I'm at this place right now of like, I don't know. But as a woman of color in this space, I think sometimes I feel that I'm being challenged, like I'm considered as challenging, or like I'm, attitude, all the like stereotypical things. And just like I remember I was in a meeting with someone and she told me that, oh, I would have understood if you didn't say it that way. I said it 3 times. And I told her, I said, you're tone policing me. And I love this lady. She's coach, love her to death. But we were really into it. I'm like, it shouldn't matter like how I said it. I said it in an email and you didn't read it. And now when I'm telling you what it is, now you're hearing me. You got me to this tone because of the argument we got into. It wasn't even tone because it was asynchronous communication at first. So it's like, now it's just like, am I expected to be merry and cheerful? Like, and that was another thing. Like, I'm expected to be so positive. That it's like, no, I'm a person dealing with real things. In addition to, there's a lot of things I think I'm struggling with. I recently just posted about like Freeman Bureau's bank and how like $1.4 billion were stolen from Black, right? And I get told that I'm a very good teacher, and I've been saying, don't tell me that until my paycheck says it. And don't call me that until the numbers. And I'm not trying to be like it's all about the money, but like y'all get paid, and I feel like I'm hard, right? Like y'all get paid, and like me saying that is what, Miss Wilcox. Oh, I think money means different things to different people. No, it doesn't. Money is money. And for me, as the Black woman in my family, I am, and I took it not to them, but like I'm not at a place of privilege or whatever to do whatever you're doing, right? Like my family worked very, very hard, and I'm still here. And I'm not saying taking no responsibility from my actions, but I feel as though I've done all that I'm supposed to do, and I'm still not getting paid the money that you're getting paid. So don't call me best teacher in the building or that equivalent until, so like I say a lot of like things, but because of like I've earned respect in my school, it's like, oh, we should think about this. But I do know, and I love to speak from the I perspective, but I do know that I have other past coworkers who are women of color who are not given that same respect when their thoughts and concerns were heard. It was seen as like being defiant or like or overlooked or like, and that's not okay. So like for me as a Black woman, right? Like I don't, just because I'm okay, that doesn't mean it's okay. So lots of things, girl. I can be here forever.
I mean, we know because we get compensated in pizza and get called superheroes. Yes, Ashley, is
don't start. Okay. I don't want no pizza. I don't want a mug. I don't want pens. Yeah, no more t-shirt. Just give me the check. Check. No more. No pizza, no mug, no, like I have water bottles galore. No. Give me the check.
Not a Starbucks gift card that gonna get you half a roll or something. Yeah.
I'll take a $300 Target gift card if you want. Just give me the money.
That'll do it.
I need the I want the money. That's what
Actually,
I want.
I think your eyes lit up a little bit.
Yeah. We're talking. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
How has a HBCU shaped you as an educator?
I went to the illustrious Howard University in Washington, D.C. And I always say I have a BA and BS. Like Howard University, I think anyone can say this about their HBCU, has taught me how to get where I need to get by whatever. And I think it's just created a sense of confidence. And I struggle with self-esteem. I struggle with like feeling good in the classroom. But, Howard, yep, you can't tell me nothing because I'm with Howard. And it just creates a sense of pride. It also creates like another sense of community, right? Like at HBCUs, you rep everything, your dorm, your major, your this. And like when you're in a field of educators, there's a few people that I went to Howard with, class of 2015, that work in my network. And it just creates a sense of camaraderie, excuse me. It also, like I talk about, not so much as often now, but I talk a lot about my HBCU experience with students and like, charter schools. And a lot of they name their homerooms after colleges. And
Nice.
every year there's always a college named Howard. And that class is usually my worst behaved. Not this year. Howard is like the best behaved this year. But usually in my history, Howard University is like the most challenging behaved class. And with that, just teaching them and like they hear about what I did in school and like how much I love school. And I'm going to visit my friend who still lives there, who's in law school now. Like she's had all these things. I'm talking to one of my friends. He's not friends, my students. He's Nigerian and he wants to be a lawyer. And I'm telling him about my friend who went to Howard with me, poli-sci major, and now goes to Georgetown, right? Scholarship, whatever. Like giving him all these things of like, he's in 8th grade and I'm telling him, no, you can go to Howard and you will. So like, I just feel like it just makes me happy. It gives me something to connect to. Just another thing to be proud of. And it just made, like, I think having that, like, I teach in Newark. So a lot of times, like, Jersey gets a bad rep. And, like, no, you can be proud of your city. Like, just like I'm proud of my city. I'm proud of my university. And just, like, yeah. And you can't tell me nothing about Howard. Like, my whole school is, like, we have HBCU day on Friday. And I know Miss Wilcox is going to be ready to wear her Howard gear. I wear Howard gear every week. Like, that's not even new.
And one of the reasons why I left is because there's this culture in education where you feel like you have to be there no matter what. And it's like this feeling of not taking your PTO. I don't know. It's like as if you couldn't take your PTO when you needed it. There was this culture there that I just did not feel good with where, no, I need a day. But it was like frowned upon at the same time if you took that day. And when I take a step back and think about it, I'm like, I never saw any of my teachers growing up really taking a day off.
Really?
Like,
Right.
a day off.
And if they did, they had to be like in hospital or something.
Yeah.
And still sending the lesson plan.
Like, they put all these people, oh, this person was submitting her lesson plans, giving birth. This teacher, right before he had terminal cancer. No, and like, this lady, they have Healing Schools Project. Her name is Winemo, Dr. Winemo. And she actually taught at my school. And we're doing these things of like healing teachers so that they can show up better for our kids. And like, they say it's like, who are our heroes? Who are we praising? When we praise those behaviors, it subconsciously makes other teachers think like, oh, I'm only going to be seen as someone who loves my job if I do this very toxic behavior. I'm only going to be seen like I'm down and I love my kids if I come to school on Sunday and work till 8 p.m. No. And when we praise those things, we praise people going above and beyond in that manner, it subconsciously makes people think like, oh, I'm not. And granted, like there are people who have, who are confident in themselves. And there are some like in the teaching profession who are not. And it makes them think like, oh, I have to do these things. That's the culture of this school. That's the culture of this community.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious too, as well. Tell us more why you don't see yourself staying where you are and transitioning out possibly into something else.
I want to live a life of luxury. I'm tired. TIDE. I'm so tired. I just feel like, and like I just turned 30 in December, and like clearly that's young, right? Like we used to tell when we were 18, like, oh, he's old. No, we're young, and that's not a long time. But I do not, and maybe I could, but I don't see myself creating a family, being present for my children in my household as much as I want to be, and still be as good of a teacher as I am, as they say, at the same time.
Yeah.
And me being who I am, I don't want to sacrifice either of the two. And someone's going to have to go, and it ain't going to be my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it.
Like granted, there are people who find the balance or like they do less, but I don't want to do less because what I do is what makes me who I am. But at the same time, I'm not going to take from the time. Like I want to be present in my children's activities and in their schools and doing all those things. But when will I be able to do that? Or how much of me am I going to give if I'm showing up 100% here, 100% there? And what's going to be left of me as Ayanna the person? So that's why I say that. I also feel like I work really hard and I don't want to keep working hard. I'm tired. I just want to. And I love vacation. So like I'm in this like self-exploring thing that I've been trying to figure that out for the past 3 years. But and then like, we have all these perks, right? You have a pension, you have summer break, winter break. I love being able to vacation all those random times. But I don't know if it's gonna be a thing forever. I don't see myself, what they say, dying in the classroom. Like people making it 30 years. Oh Lord, I couldn't even. I didn't even see 10, so I don't even know how I made it to 8. But 30, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well, we definitely wish you luck on whatever you choose to do with it. We know you're gonna give it your all, and we love to see the progress of it all. And in the meantime, your students are flourishing, so we love that for you, and we thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. This was very much a total surprise, and and for listening, because I know I talk a lot. But I also talk a lot about teaching and education because I do love to see kids learn. So I do appreciate you guys having me and listening and letting me go on and ramble about and tolerating my dog who has no behavior tonight. But I don't know what's wrong with him. But yeah.
Of course, you're
Yeah.
very engaging anyhow, and I'm sure
Yeah.
your students are very engaged as well.
Damn.
So everyone, let us know your thoughts on this episode. Comment, like, subscribe. Yes, everyone. So till next time, thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.